Hello. How
Hello.
are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am minus about a quart of blood.
Yes, let's tell the viewers about your misadventure.
So I bought an artificial Christmas tree years ago that came with lights pre-strung on it. Well, the problem with that is that eventually the lights, burn out. And rather than go around bulb by bulb and figure out which bulb is the problematic one, I just decided to cut all the lights off the tree and put on new lights. But I sliced my finger in doing so. So,
Ow.
yes. So I want brownie points for the transcript, typing up the transcript, because that's 20 pages with 3 layers of Band-Aids on one of my main typing fingers.
Oh, absolutely.
So, well, welcome to Goodnight, Mr. Holmes, a podcast about the Granada Sherlock Holmes, which ran on ITV in the UK between 1984 and 1994, and ran on Masterpiece Mystery in the US around the same time. I'm Laura.
And I'm Rachel.
And today we're looking at episode 32 in the series called The Master Blackmailer. And we're going to do this in 2 parts because it is long.
Yeah, we didn't realize this was a movie.
Yes. And it aired as the single episode of the series that year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it was 1992 in the UK and 1993 in the US.
Wow. It was first published as The Adventure of Charles Augustus Milverton and Collier's in 1904.
Okay. Well, according to Bending the Willow, the producers were heavily influenced by the Inspector Morse series, where
I can see that.
Yeah, the episodes were 2 hours long. And also, there's a change in the guard. The executive producer, Michael Cox, had left the series by this point, and June Wyndham Davies came in. And according to Bending the Willow, she saw her role as a filmmaker, and she would, I think, be the first to agree that she never quite had the affinity with Sherlock Holmes that Michael Cox had.
Mm-hmm.
She saw her mission with the 2-hour shows as making feature films for television. She was also
which is valid.
Yeah. Oh, sure. She was also under instruction from the top to make pretty pictures and to cut down on the dialogue. And the note here is the latter instruction regarding a Sherlock Holmes film reveals a crassness and an ignorance that is as astounding as it is stupid.
Yeah. I mean, this is.
But Holmes does have
very illiterate.
Yeah, he has one. Yeah. He has almost not almost no dialogue, but it's really cut down.
It is pretty. They could have turned up the lights a little.
This is true. Yes. Oh, think of it as an early foray into the current vogue where you can't see anything because everything's dark. So, as with the movies, we don't have the usual opening on Baker Street with Holmes musing at the window. Instead, we're immediately in Paris, in the courtyard of an old building. There's torches burning, doves are flapping.
There's a lot of lights covered with blue gel. Paris is apparently very blue at night.
Okay. The city of lights is, yeah, no, I don't think so. And a man dressed in evening clothes is smoking a cigarette. His name is not mentioned. Then we pan to a room in that building, which is candlelit. So yes, dim and cluttered with these filmy curtains. A woman in a white nightgown is bent over a writing desk and she's composing a letter. Emile, my dearest one, she says.
And then nothing else. So yeah, wow, they really did cut down on the dialogue.
She addresses the letter to Le Comte de Cavaignac. In real life, there was a Vicomte de Cavaignac, but his name was Jacques Marie, not Emile, and he died in 1855, long before this story was set. So our Comte is fictional. The woman seals her letter with wax, imprints her ring on the seal, and she gives the letter to the man outside, the one who was smoking. And in French, she says, "For the Count, it's very important." And the man takes
I just have to note, like, I'm just handing my love letter to the shady guy hanging out in my yard.
Right.
I know you're casing the joint, but instead of robbing me, can you deliver this letter instead?
Yes. And the man takes the letter and says, "Bien sûr, madame." And he skips. He literally skips across the courtyard and out of the frame. Then we're in another grand home. I mean, this episode actually is rife with grand homes.
Well, I mean, it is called the master blackmailer. There's no point in blackmailing poor people.
Although people do that. And it's just aristocracy up the wazoo. So Emile is reading the letter. "My dearest Emile, my husband has changed his plans. There is no other way to say goodbye. Remember me in your heart." And Emile crumples up the letter in despair, throws it into the fire, leaves the room, but the messenger is still there.
Yeah, the way this was shot, so Emile is in the right half of the screen, and you could see the shadow of the butler, the messenger.
Yeah, someone.
Like a looming on the left side. And
Yeah.
Your first thought is, because Emile's reading the letter and whoever's casting the shadow is like pouring something, but he's got his hands at roughly the same height. So your first thought is, oh, well, this is the shadow. This is Emile's shadow. And then Emile moves and the shadow doesn't follow. And it's very disconcerting. It's like something out of a horror film.
Yes. So the messenger fishes the letter out of the fire before it can burn and grins avariciously. Later, he's outside a theater, which is a raucous scene where these street urchins are shaking down men in opera cloaks and top hats. And he hands the letter to a man in a carriage. We can't see the man, so it's all very mysterious. The carriage man gives the messenger a packet in exchange, and the packet is full of banknotes. So whatever this letter was, it was worth a lot of money to the person who has it now. 12 years later, we are at yet another large manor house. A maid is listening in on a conversation taking place in a greenhouse.
12 years later.
12 years later. "Who betrayed me in Paris, and why did you wait so long?" a woman is saying. So it's Emile's lover. "The answers to those questions are no concern of yours," a man says. And I immediately recognized the distinctive voice of Robert Hardy, who played Siegfried Farnan in All Creatures Great and Small, which I have watched numerous times. I was addicted to it as a kid. He played Sir John Middleton in the 1995 production of Sense and Sensibility. And I will have more on that later because that's a seminal movie for a lot of behind the scenes reasons.
But did he play in that?
Sir John Middleton.
Okay.
Yeah, I blanked too. He played Cornelius Fudge, of course, in the Harry Potter movies, and he played Churchill in a 2015 TV movie, among many, 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 many other roles. "On my knees," the woman says, "I beg you, I implore you to show mercy." "I am not in the business of mercy, madam," the man says. "I haven't the money. Even if I wished, how could I without my husband knowing?" And her veil at this point catches on a cactus and she rips it away. I'm like, what was that detail for?
That was probably an accident.
Yeah, that stayed in. "I think you'd be exceedingly ill-advised not to make an effort," the man says. "Do your worst," the woman says, and she turns, walks out of the greenhouse. The maid, who's leading a mastiff by the collar outside, also turns and walks away so as not to be caught listening.
There's a statue in his garden right outside the door that is just a head.
I didn't notice that. Oh my
I went back to look. I'm like, really? There's no... Okay.
I think all the time about the statues in Haunting of Hill House, that it opens up with those creepy statues.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I want those. But then I'd be afraid to go out into my yard.
Yes.
But the woman turns on the steps and she yells back, "You will not have a penny from me, coward." But the man, who it's clear by now is Charles Augustus Milverton, only laughs. Then we're at a decrepit old country estate. There's masonry falling down, windows boarded up. An ancient lady is sitting in the sunshine. A maid brings her a blanket for her lap as Holmes listens to her.
And Watson is over by this
Fountain?
in the courtyard that has a couple of lions in the center.
Yeah,
But
something.
he's too far away to hear, really.
Yep. And so,
Like, and this is my trusted friend and colleague, Dr. Watson. He
Who's out of
really
earshot.
likes looking at fountains, so I brought him along.
yes. So she's saying, my grandsons were punished enough. I hear from them only seldom. They wish to spare me their misery, I think. This is the Dowager. And she's played by an actress with the most Welsh name imaginable, Gwen Francon with 2 F's Davis. And this was, in fact, the last role of her life. She was 100 years old when this was filmed. Yeah.
Does not look 100 years old.
He doesn't, no. So yes, as mentioned, Watson smoking by a fountain. He tosses the butt in and he turns to come back to where Holmes and the Dowager are sitting. This monster who brought about their downfall, Holmes is asking. He lives and breathes, Mr. Holmes, with a smiling face and a heart of marble. And we get a close-up of the Dowager here, and she is indeed quite ancient and cross-eyed.
Yeah, and by close-up, like, you can't see the neck or the hairline.
No, like
the camera is literally like 3 inches away from her face.
You're counting wrinkles.
Yeah, I don't need to be able to count their pores. The camera really needs to back off.
Yes. You should have come to me sooner, Holmes says. The Dowager laughs. If only I'd known of you sooner, she says. A friend gave me your name. He has a high regard for your sense of justice. And she picks up a book. Do you read poetry? She hands the book to Holmes. The Flyleaf, she says. Cam, C-A-M, devil. That is the only clue I can offer you. Maybe it will help. I wish for nothing for myself, Mr. Holmes. It is too late for that. I wish only to save others.
I don't understand her story at all.
Yeah. There's more detail later in the episode about her grandsons.
Mm.
But Holmes kisses her hand, and this is only the beginning of uncharacteristic actions by Holmes.
Yeah.
In this episode. Then he hustles away over to Watson, who's whacking the shrubbery with his stick.
Watson was really, really bored.
Yes. And they get
This is also not really characteristic of Watson.
No, it isn't. They get in a small carriage headed to the train back to London. I felt great sadness there to think that the house must have reverberated with the sounds of those boys growing up. Watson is narrating, because we're back at 221B. And Watson...
Where Holmes is behind on his electric bill, apparently.
Yes! Watson's holding up a note. A man who preys upon the weakness with a smiling face and a heart of marble, he reads. A master blackmailer, Holmes says. I've heard whisper of him, yet no one has put a name to him. There's no mention of blackmail, not even a whisper in the newspaper column. Holmes throws newspapers around the room in frustration. You have reported it? Of her 2 grandchildren, here we go, Watson reads out from his little notebook, George, the elder, and Viscount Croft, was caught in a moment of indiscretion, referred to in the paper as the Badger game.
The Badger game is an extortion scheme, this is according to Wikipedia, or confidence trick, in which the victims are tricked into compromising positions in order to make them vulnerable to blackmail.
Oh, well, then we can call every kind of blackmail the Badger game.
Well, sometimes blackmail is you did this thing wholeheartedly and now you're...
Yeah, as opposed to being tricked.
Yes.
Yeah, oh, I'm thinking of, what's his name? Kushner, Jared Kushner's dad. He did that to his brother-in-law.
Oh.
And that's partly why he wound up in jail. Yeah. It seems, Watson says, to involve a gentleman being lured to the bed of a prostitute, then being discovered in flagrante delicto by a third party. As usual, Holmes says, the sensational press has got it wrong. The lady was an actress, it is true, but there was no in flagrante. Mrs. Hudson! And yeah, I still hate the conflation of actress and prostitute.
Yeah, but that kind of was the general impression at the time.
Yep, still is to some degree. If the aristocracy is anything to go by, and Meghan Markle, he was a member of one of the highest families in the land, and the papers made plenty of that, Watson says. And the younger boy, Holmes says, Edward, Watson scratches his forehead. In revenge for his brother, he took a revolver to the footman, whose name was Vike, burst in upon him, shot him in the face. The man lived, but was disfigured for life. After the trial, he disappeared.
And let's put some quotation marks around disfigured.
Yes, let's. It is Vike we must find to lead us to our prize, Holmes says. Mrs. Hudson, are you not well? Of course I'm well, Mrs. Hudson says, coming into the sitting room. Then please, you know that I hate the stench of cabbage, Holmes shouts.
Mrs. Hudson doesn't answer because she's too busy calculating how much she's going to raise his rent again.
Yes, exactly. She begins clearing the table. Surely the brothers would know their tormentor, Watson says. Mrs. Hudson shoots Holmes a dirty look and keeps clearing the table. I was watching this interaction with great interest. The elder brother fled the country in disgrace, Holmes says. Edward joined him, having served his sentence. They're now living somewhere wretchedly in France. Goodbye, Mrs. Hudson. Thank you. And Mrs. Hudson shoots him another dirty look and walks out of the room with the tray of dishes. I like how, she subtly stands her own ground against him.
Yeah.
He abuses the fuck out of her. and she's just like, well, you can try, but I will always have my dignity.
I control your rent too.
Yes. And I will always have your money.
Yep.
There is one curiosity, Holmes says, picking up the book of poetry that the Dowager gave him. And Watson reads the flyleaf. C.A.M., devil. Read it for clues if you wish, Holmes says. And Watson settles into his chair with the book. I do rather like Tennyson. But later, Holmes says, I prefer you to direct your energies towards the gossip columns, the grasslands, Watson, through which our serpent lies. And we are then viewing a scene that takes place on the grass.
It looks like an impressionist painting come to life.
Yes, it's very who's the one who did pointillism?
Seurat.
Yes, it's very that.
Yeah.
So we're looking at this lovely picnic, a bunch of young people. They're all young people. A woman is reclining in a hammock. A young man in a rowing blazer and cap is sprawled on the grass. So he must be either from Oxford or Cambridge. Do tell us where you're going, one of the young women says. Lottie, you must. Shall I? And this is Charlotte Miles. She reaches out and takes the hand of a man in uniform. This is Colonel Dorking. Tell him where we're going for our honeymoon. I've no objections, the colonel says. It's Budleigh Salterton. And this is a seaside town in Devon. It's nice, it's pretty, but it's not extravagant. And everybody laughs. How romantic, one of the women says. It is actually, Charlotte says. I should have to choose somewhere abroad for a honeymoon, says the woman in the hammock. Paris or Rome. Oh, wait, it wasn't the woman in the hammock. It's someone else. You may, Daphne, but if one's fate is to marry a soldier, abroad may well be one's whole life. And your honeymoon, Lady Eva? The colonel asked the young woman in the hammock. Have you and Harry decided yet? Florence, Naples, Constantinople, I think, she says languidly. Lady Eva is played by Serena Gordon, who is also in Goldeneye with Pierce Brosnan.
She was not one of the Bond girls.
Not a Bond girl. Yes. Thank you. Because I totally forget that movie and I can't keep track.
It was one of, I think, the 2 Pierce Brosnan movies that I watched. That one, I think, was actually written for Timothy Dalton, from what because Dalton was under contract to do 3 James Bond movies, and after the second one there was contract dispute, and so there was this long delay, and then they came back to Dalton and said, so are you ready to do the 3rd one? And he was like, could we not please do something else?
And at the time, Dalton and Pierce Brosnan looked a lot alike. They look drastically different now, but at the time they were, tall, dark, and handsome, English.
Well, I mean, technically neither of them are English.
Yeah, right. I know Pierce Brosnan is Irish. I don't know about Dalton. What is he?
Welsh.
Oh, okay. Anyway, Brosnan also got into a contract dispute with the Broccoli's because he had Remington Steel.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
I think that was why he couldn't do it sooner.
exactly. And so they got Dalton instead.
Yeah, but they've been after Dalton for many years before he was finally like, okay. But from what I understand, it was a very unpleasant set. He really hated working on it.
I can't imagine that it would be any better now that Bezos owns it.
What?
Bezos bought MGM, which owns the Bond franchise.
Wow.
And the Broccoli's got paid off big time. And I think they still are supposed to have a lot of input.
Netflix just bought Warner Brothers.
Netflix.
Yeah.
Well, they said they're going to.
Oh, they didn't finalize it?
They finalized the agreement that they were going to, but now there's the real negotiations and things
okay.
still fall apart. So yeah, I know. I hate this.
Yeah,
I hate this. I hate what that means for my beloved HBO.
Anyway. Capitalism just ends in one giant
blob that spies on us.
Yep.
Ugh. Anyway, now you've made him envious, Charlotte says. Not at all, Charlotte, my dear. I must return to barracks, the colonel says. Shall I see you this evening? No, duties forbid, he says. A regimental dinner, alas. He bows to the assembled crowd. Ladies, he says, and he's off. And Lady Eva is in quiet hysterics until he's out of earshot, and all the young ladies gather around the hammock. Lottie, he is gorgeous, she says, and the other women giggle, and they chime in, and it's just a little gossip fest. At the barracks, the colonel is in evening dress. His Batman is attending to him, brushing off his jacket. So a Batman was kind of a valet to a soldier who was also a soldier of more minor rank. And people might be familiar with this from Downton Abbey, where Bates was Lord Grantham's Batman in the Boer Wars or something. Anyway, the colonel is clearly a fastidious man, judging from how he's regarding himself in the mirror. He spends a long time looking in the mirror, tweaking his mustache. Clearly he cares a lot about the way he looks. At the dinner, there's a drag queen singing on a stage, holding a large fan. She is played by Simon Fogg, who only ever had 2 credits on IMDb, both of them in drag. So I'm wondering, and I couldn't find anything about this person, but I'm wondering if Simon Fogg was, underground drag performer in the 90s in England somewhere.
Yeah, could be. Also, not the most interesting show.
No. It's kind of dumb.
The follow-up, the 3 Little Maids from School, is much better.
Oh my God, yes. The men are all listening, enwrapped. Some are holding hands, others sitting very intimately close to one another. So it's clear from the context that this is a gay club.
Yes.
And the colonel mouths, "I love you," to the singer. And as the singer finishes, a man approaches the colonel with a note. The name on the outside is Richard. He goes over to a table that's partially shrouded in darkness. "What is this?" the colonel says. "It's not in my hand," meaning handwriting. "My dear colonel, you don't expect me to give you the original, do you?" And it's Charles Augustus Milverton, still sitting in the dark. "When did you get this? Who gave it to you?" "Who but the object of your affections," Milverton says. "I don't believe it," the colonel says, leaning menacingly over Milverton's table. "It's not possible. What do you want from me?" £1,200, Milverton hisses. "What?" "For it all to be blown away," Milverton says. "Never. I won't part with a penny. I'll see you in hell first," the colonel shouts.
Good thing that they're having this conversation in front of everyone and not in private.
Well, that being said, everyone in that club is compromised.
Sure.
So, and
I'm also pretty sure that if they banded together, they could probably beat him to death.
Oh, sure. Of course, they're soldiers.
Yeah.
But, on the other hand, should he survive, he could prosecute and they'd all be in jail.
I'm sure you could make sure that he didn't survive.
I know. But Milverton says, "Think of your lovely bride, Colonel." And the colonel angrily goes to the singer's dressing room, and he's partially undressed. "What have you done to me?" the colonel demands, but he's dragged away with the singer throwing her underdress at him on the way out. He's thrown up against a wall outside the club, and as he sinks down onto the cobblestones, he's being kicked. A couple of guys come out to help him, and Milverton's carriage drives off. At Charlotte's house, she and Lady Eva are examining wedding gifts. "One has to ask oneself, how much butter can one eat?" Charlotte's saying. So I guess she got a lot of butter dishes.
Mm-hmm.
"Dottie Martian apparently got 17 salt and pepper pots," says Lady Eva. And they're giggling as some guests begin to take their leave from whatever gathering this was. Eva turns to Charlotte. "Harry wanted us to be married at sea on a pirate ship with only the crew invited. But one really can't, can one?" "No, my dear, one really can't. And I can't think of a single pirate who would tolerate that." I mean, they're there for business, man. They're trying to rob people, and you want to get married? So outside, the colonel is talking with a young man. His face is all bruised and banged up. "I made an astonishingly foolish wager that I could outbox a young upstart of a dragoon," he's saying by way of explanation. And the other man laughs. "This is Harry, Eva's fiance. More on him later." "And you will mend for the nuptials, my dear fellow, in 3 days? You'll have a small flutter yourself," Harry asks. Meanwhile, a butler is delivering a packet to Charlotte, wrapped in brown paper with a pink ribbon. "Bed socks, do you think?" Charlotte guesses. Bed socks. She opens the packet. It's a series of correspondence with pressed flowers. It's clearly romantic. "My grandfather fancied himself something of a pugilist," Harry is saying, and he starts to tell a long anecdote. Inside, Charlotte is gasping. The colonel turns around to look through the window at her. Charlotte is clearly distressed, holding the letters. "Lottie, what is it?" Eva asks. Charlotte gets up and goes to the window and glares out at the colonel, who looks back at her regretfully. As Charlotte comes running outside, the colonel runs after her. He grabs her, but she takes off her engagement ring and she slaps him. And then she runs off, leaving the letters on the ground. The crowd of guests is watching. Eva wants to go after her, but Harry tells her not to.
We cannot maintain patriarchy if there is solidarity between women, darling.
Exactly. Yeah, no, the man has to rule this situation. Next, we are at 221B, where Watson is dutifully reading from the gossip columns. We see newspaper headlines about a society marriage being called off. Guess which one that was? Watson rattles off a bunch of items from the papers, and Holmes impatiently says, "You're not trying, Watson," and stomps over the papers as he's crossing the room.
Yeah, I love how he's blaming Watson for the paper not reporting anything relevant.
Yes. "Well, really, Holmes, I've been reading things out since 8:30 this morning. You haven't reacted to a single item." "I shall react, I do assure you, the moment you read out something which captures my interest." Holmes sits down at his lab table, and he's busying himself with various bubbling solutions, potions, eye of newt, hair of frog. Watson continues reading. "The Honorable Miss Miles has broken off her engagement to Colonel Dorking 2 days before the wedding," he says. He chuckles and keeps reading. "The most important article in a woman's wardrobe this winter will be her headgear."
I'm pretty sure that doesn't have anything to do with potential blackmail, Watson.
Yeah, right. And, you know, as someone who does read the gossip columns, there's a difference between the gossip columns and the society pages and the fashion.
Yes.
But to men, it's all the same. Back at the barracks, Dorking has written a series of letters, one of which is to Charlotte. He closes his bedroom door and shoots himself. When the door opens, we see him flopping on the bed, dead, apparently. I don't understand how the door opened, but here we are. I mean, the Batman was in the next room, so could have been.
I assumed it was the Batman who opened the door.
He was in another room.
Yeah, but he heard the shot, right?
Yeah, but we never saw, like, the door just opened, like someone behind it. Like the doors in Star Trek open. It turns out it's crew members, but and by
Yes, so the Batman was coming to the door, so it opened like a grocery store.
right, exactly.
The military is very advanced.
Milverton is in his grand parlor reading some documents. This
With
parlor,
a kitty. There's a white kitty. You know,
Oh,
the standard model for supervillains.
yes, I missed that. I was kind of, well, A, I'm transcribing a lot, but B, I'm also looking at all these artifacts that he's got.
Yeah.
It's like he's got all of these like figurines and paintings and just all kinds of art.
And a kitty.
And a kitty. And he's reading some documents. And we notice a large safe next to him, a big iron safe. There's a knock at the parlor door, and the maid comes in, the same maid who was dealing with the mastiff. So she's played, and here we go, by Sophie Thompson, who is Emma Thompson's sister. Sophie has also been in a ton of productions, including Harry Potter, which, of course, Robert Hardy was.
Right. Yeah, Emma Thompson was in that too.
Yes, Emma Thompson. Yes, but she was also in Gosford Park, and yes, Emma. She was in 4 Weddings and a Funeral. Back to Sense and Sensibility. Apparently, she wasn't in it, but while she was visiting the set to see her sister, she met her husband, the actor Richard Lumsden, who was playing Robert Ferrars, the brother of Hugh Grant's character.
Oh.
Yeah. Emma also met her husband, Greg Wise, on the set. He was playing John Willoughby.
Oh my God.
Oh, no. And Sophie,
that was a pretty important movie for them.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. There's like tons of backstory here. Sophie and Richard eventually divorced. But as mentioned, Robert Hardy was in Sense and Sensibility as well. None of which is dispelling my theory that there are only ever 12 active actors in England. And they all turn.
Yes. Yep. And they're all in Harry Potter or Love Actually.
Or Game of Thrones.
Or Game of Thrones.
Which, yeah, I know you've never seen it, but it is seminal for that very reason.
Did I send you the screen rant for Game of Thrones?
No, you should.
I will.
I cannot both mock, love, and appreciate that series enough. There's so much that's wrong with it, and yet I still go back and watch it. And I am not a dragons and swords person, but it's the politics that I love.
Yeah.
Anyway, come to light the fire for you, sir, says the maid. Her name is Agatha. She starts preparing the kindling, but Milverton says, not at the moment, thank you. And his face is buried in this long document. So she's frantically scooping up the kindling, and Milverton hisses, go away! And she scurries out.
Someone's in a mood.
And on IMDb, there is a note, and this is true, that she would never speak to him unless she were spoken to first. So she would never say, come to light the fire for you. She would just do it. So yeah. And then as she's leaving, she goes, okay. And of course, when was this story written?
It was published in 1904.
Yeah, nobody said okay back then.
Well, it dates back to the I'm going to say early to mid 1800s.
Really?
Yeah.
They were saying okay back then?
Yeah.
Wow. Ooh, I'll have to consult Oxford English.
Nobody's really sure what the origin of it is. Just that it was sometime in the 19th century.
I do know that
there are a few theories, but nobody's really sure.
For a long time, it was considered vulgar. I was told not to say okay as a child.
And you said, okay, sure.
Basically, yeah. So at the barracks where Dorking has killed himself, Inspector Lestrade is going through these letters that Dorking left. There's one addressed to Holmes. And Lestrade is called to the bedroom by, I think, the coroner. Dorking's body is still there, and there's blood everywhere, just like when my finger bled. I mean, just buckets of blood all over. And He sets the letters down with the one to Holmes at the top. Dorking's Batman picks it up and puts it in his coat pocket. Now on Baker Street, Watson is purchasing a newspaper. He goes back to 221B, where he's met by the Batman. Mr. Sherlock Holmes, the Batman asks. The Batman, by the way, his name is Lewis. Yes, he's in, Watson says. Lewis gives Watson the letter, salutes, and then runs away.
Scurries away.
Really, like, wow. Upstairs, Watson gives the letter to Holmes, who opens it. It's from Colonel Dorking, Holmes says. Who delivered this? His Batman, Watson says. He thrusts his newspaper under Holmes's nose. This is Colonel Dorking. And the headline reads Cavalry Colonel found dead. Whose engagement to the Honorable Miss Miles was broken off yesterday, Holmes says. You see, I was listening. And he's reading the letter when Lestrade pulls up outside in a carriage. Lestrade practically knocks over Mrs. Hudson as he rushes upstairs. I don't know that he's in, Inspector, Mrs. Hudson protests, but to no avail. Lestrade gives a perfunctory knock and then barges in. Mr. Holmes, you know what I'm here for. No, pray tell me, Holmes said. I've come for the letter, which arrived in that envelope, Lestrade says, pointing to the table. It was stolen from the rooms of Colonel John Dorking and delivered into the hands of Dr. Watson not 20 minutes ago. And Lestrade is furious. Do you have it? Delivered, yes, but stolen? It's addressed to me, Lestrade, Holmes says. It's police evidence, Lestrade snaps. The colonel is dead. Yes, we know, by his own hand. Watson holds up the newspaper. Foul play is not suspected, Holmes asks. How can you be so sure, Lestrade demands. Because the note made it clear, Holmes says. So why would he write to you if he's topping himself, Lestrade asks. Did you know the man? I had no knowledge of him, Holmes says. Oh, and by the way, I was very amused at the term if he's topping himself, because topping is also a...
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if they used it that way in the 90s. If they did, this crowd didn't know about it.
Yeah, in the 90s, I don't know. And I'm pretty sure in the aughts it was used that way.
No, absolutely. That's when I learned of it. Oh, answer my question. Or better still, show me the letter, Lestrade says. It'll tell you nothing. And Holmes hands over the letter. Lestrade reads it. Seems to me, on the point of engaging you, he must have changed his mind and took the soldier's way out, Holmes says. What does he mean by... We'll never know, Inspector, Holmes says. Like, what? What? But he was engaged to be married, damn it. Lestrade pauses and thinks a little. Yes, well, wouldn't be the first time, won't be the last, he says.
Closeted gay man, I've never heard of such a thing.
Right, exactly. Yes. So
Also,
yes.
this is another instance where the camera is like 3 inches from the actor.
Yes. Again, I'm like noticing the dentistry or lack thereof.
I was rewatching Farscape recently, and they did kind of the same thing. So I think it was, and that was also a 90s show. So I think it was the style of filmmaking at the time.
Yeah.
It's really disconcerting to go back and look at those. You're like, wow, those giant faces.
Right, exactly. I think the last time I saw that was in Les Mis, the film, where they zoom in on Fantine's face as she's singing her final song, and you can see Anne Hathaway's fillings. I'm like, this takes me right out of the story.
Oh.
She wouldn't have had fillings back then. Anyway, so they're talking around.
Also, famously, she had sold her teeth. So
right, yes. They didn't really. I don't know if they got into that or not. I saw it so long ago. Anyway, they're talking around the colonel's homosexuality without actually saying anything. You can be sure of one thing, Holmes says. Colonel Dorking was not his first victim and will not be his last. You will let me know if you hear of anything, Lestrade asks irritably on his way out.
No answer.
No answer.
I think you've got your answer there, Lestrade.
Right. So as Lestrade leaves, Watson reads the letter. Made a hideous mistake. Need your services. And the camera pans over the charcoal drawing of the Reichenbach that stands.
I was just going to say, I love that they have this.
Yes.
The Reichenbach over the fireplace.
Yes.
Like, hey, remember that hoax? Yeah, good time.
I think we're meant to, understand that it is maximally tragic. The only pity is he didn't name the blackmailer, Watson says. He did, Holmes says, taking a card out of his pocket. This came with the letter. And he never told Lestrade about it, of course. The card reads, Charles Augustus Milverton, Appledore Towers, Hampstead, art dealer. Camouflage, Holmes says. CAM, Watson says. Cam devil. Holmes sits on his bed in his little room off to the side. I've had to deal with 50 murderers in my career, but the worst of them never gave me the sense of revulsion that I feel at this moment to Charles Augustus Milverton.
Yeah, well, blackmailers are disgusting people.
Ugh. Robert Hardy really does a great job with this.
Yeah.
So next we're outside Appledore Towers, which is filmed, the exterior at least, at Winstanley Hall, which is near Manchester.
I do want to point out that while they're looking at this fence that, not fence,
A gate.
wall, yeah, around the estate that, supposedly makes it like a prison and nobody can get in, and there's, they don't have barbed wire, but like they have curved stakes at the top that, you could step around. If you were to use, go up this section where there's some bricks and then it goes inwards, and then there's some more bricks that stick out and it goes inwards. Like it's like a ladder of bricks that you could just climb, and then you could daintily step over those.
Yes, I had the same notes about the iron spikes, the curved iron spikes at the top. And this time Holmes is the one who's smacking the wall with his cane. And he's saying he's built his own prison. He's a man who loathes the human race, Watson comments. What circumstances might bring him to that? Boy brought up in lonely isolation, starved of affection, probably in one of London's outer suburbs, Watson says. Outer? Why not Soho or Leicester Square? Because, my dear Holmes, those places with all their vices teem with warmth, generosity of spirit, and humanity. And I found this interesting. A comment on suburbs versus city dwelling that's true even today.
Yeah.
The suburbs are notoriously isolating. Everyone's in their own little bubble, more cars than people, no neighbors just dropping by like they do on a city residential block. And I noticed this distinctly when I moved to Staten Island from Brooklyn. Less walkability means more solitude.
Yes. Yeah.
And at that point, a carriage pulls up at the gate, and Holmes and Watson watch from the shrubbery. Milverton, Holmes sneers as the carriage passes through. Tonight,
they're hiding Milverton's face, which, unless Milverton is actually the secret identity of another character, like what's the point? It means nothing to the audience.
I know. Yeah,
does Charlotte Miles have a middle name that begins with the letter A? It's like, come on.
So, I mean, and that's why I outed him immediately.
Yeah.
In the narration, because there's no point.
Yeah.
Anyway, tonight I have an assignment for you if you're willing to visit an art gallery, he tells Watson as they make their way to the street. In a carriage on the way back to 221B, Watson is wincing. Don't you think that the Honorable Miss Miles might be more worth a visit since Dorking wrote that letter to you? That is past, Watson. What we must do now is fasten ourselves onto his next victim. So this evening, I'm to find out all I can about Milverton. His education, his background, how others perceive him, Holmes says. They get out of the carriage at 221B. Engage him in conversation, Watson asks. Yes, but with caution, Holmes says. In the next scene, Eva is at the front door of a very large house. She's let in by the butler. His lordship has been taken ill at luncheon, my lady. It is feared he may have suffered a stroke, he tells her. She rushes inside. Oh, poor Uncle Charles. And the butler
up the stairs, and we follow her. For some reason, the camera is like focused on her butt. We follow her butt up the stairs.
Well, first she goes to the railing beside, And then the butler passes her by on his way up the stairs, and then she follows him. And yes, that's when they focus on her butt for some reason. Her ladyship is with him now. He shall be pleased that you're back. So on a bed, a man with a very slack-jawed face is gaping into the middle distance, salivating, clearly a stroke victim. A doctor is speaking with an older woman. That's Lady Diana Swinstead. The butler enters the room as Lady Diana is kissing the patient's hand. Eva runs up the stairs, anguished as Lady Diana is coming out. Eva hugs her and asks if she can see him. He's sleeping. Wait a little, Lady Diana says. How bad is it? Dr. Bailey is not optimistic, Lady Diana says. If he lives, he'll be paralyzed. And Eva gasps. They start walking downstairs again. There's a ceremony I have to attend this evening, the unveiling of my portrait by a young artist, Lady Diana says. Just a brief appearance, but I promised him I'd be there. Will you come take care of me? Of course, Eva says.
Your father is dying. At best, he'll be paralyzed. So want to come to an art gallery with me? Okay,
well,
sure.
it's not her father. It's her godfather.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Lady Diana, we find out later, is her godmother. That fact materialized at the end of this part of what we're doing. But anyway, I can't even hear or type the words Lady Diana without thinking of Princess Di.
Yeah.
I mean, there will never, ever be another Lady Diana.
Yes.
Who, by the way, I was just looking this up. She loved the Michael Jackson song, Dirty Diana, which is about Diana Ross grooming him, allegedly.
Mm.
Yeah. But she loved it. And he offered not to perform it for her, at a concert she was attending. And she's like, no, go ahead. So at Appledore, Milverton is hunched over his safe, reading through the letters he's collected. There's a knock on the door, but Milverton just calls out, wait. And he's wearing not a fez exactly, but it's called a smoking cap. It's kind of like a fez. It's velvet with embroidery. But it's wider, like it comes down over your head. I want one down here. And perfect to wear during the wintertime when you don't want to run up the heat.
True.
Which is probably why they wore them back then.
Probably, yeah.
Yes, Milverton finally calls out, and Agatha ushers in a young woman. It's Eva's maid. Her name is Lily. It's a maid. Come about the job, sir, Agatha says by way of introduction. Ah, and this is the first time we actually see Milverton's face.
Yeah.
Pointlessly. Well, come in then. Agatha leaves. Lily approaches Milverton, looking sly. So, what have you got to sell me then, my dear? Milverton says, and she pulls out a stack of letters addressed to Lady Eva. What's your name? Milverton asks. Lily, sir, and she hands him the letters. So, now we know the next victim. At 221B, Watson is putting on white tie. It occurs to me that I'm not invited to this viewing, Holmes. What if I'm not admitted? But turns out Holmes isn't there. There's a man walking down the stairs at 221B, and Mrs. Hudson is watching him leave. Was that Holmes just now? Watson asks her. Not that I recognize, Doctor. I mean, also, she's the landlord. Shouldn't she know who's coming and going? Who's this mysterious man that she doesn't recognize? Like, from her point of view, why doesn't she know who this is?
Yeah, but I don't know that, would you want your landlady regulating who you have over?
If she brings me breakfast.
Okay, fine.
She's in and out of the apartment all the time.
Also, Holmes is constantly putting on disguises. So.
Yes.
Is that Holmes talking at?
Watson goes back upstairs and he sees, on the couch some powders and spirit gum and other things. Clearly, Holmes has been disguising himself. Holmes's normal clothes are scattered all over the floor. He's made yet another mess of the sitting room. His clothes are going to be wrinkled when he picks them up again, except, hey, it's TV. They won't be. Watson sees a note on the mantelpiece. On the back is written, guest of CAM. On the front is an invitation to the art gallery. The address is 67 Bond Street. So these days it's New Bond Street, same place. And yes, tons of art galleries there, even today. I once went to a book industry event at one of them. I can't remember which one, but I was on New Bond Street like 10, 15 years ago. Yeah. At the gallery, the curator unveils a huge portrait of Lady Diana to a lot of applause. I think she's gentler and more beautiful than that, Harry tells Eva. I shall insist on Whistler painting you. Fun times. I went down a rabbit hole with Whistler. Just look up Whistler and Courbet. Courbet.
Yeah.
And there's a specific painting called The Origin of the World, which caused Whistler a lot of surreys, as it were. Because purportedly it was of his girlfriend completely naked.
But this particular portrait, whatever she's wearing is off the shoulder and about as low cut as Miss Scarlet in the movie Clue.
Oh, okay.
And while everyone's talking about how beautiful she is, I kind of like how nobody's talking about her boobs, which are what you're supposed to be talking about.
Yes. Oh, but there's so many other boobs in this episode. So Watson arrives as Lady Diana is complimenting the artist. She turns to Eva and says, I would like to go soon. Suddenly, Milverton materializes and he's standing next to Lady Diana. The boy has caught you to perfection, Lady Swinstead, he says to her. I don't believe we've been introduced, she says, a little haughtily. Charles Augustus Milverton, at your service. And then Watson's head whips around. Just then, an older gentleman comes over to Lady Diana looking solemn. My husband, she asks. He nods. Eva, she says, and the two leave. Watson approaches Milverton, still looking at the portrait. A most beautiful lady, Watson comments. What? Milverton says. Here. Lady Swinstead. I wonder, though, if he's got her mouth quite right. Disaster, Milverton says, and turns to face him, grinning a little, because he's just told Lady Diana that he's caught her to perfection. Then we're at a pub. Agatha is seated at a table, having a beer, which I thought was weird for a young woman at that time to be alone in a pub drinking a beer, but later it turns out she's not alone. Holmes, in disguise, enters the pub and goes to the bar. He's talking to a workman. When I first saw this episode the very first time, I did not recognize Holmes.
Really?
Yeah. Not at all.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's very unkempt.
He is. He's dressed in workman's clothes. He's looking like a laborer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do I know you? You work for Milverton, don't you? He asks. And the man grunts and nods. He's got 2 beers in his hand. Is it good there? Holmes asks. Would be if it weren't for the bloody plumbing, the workman says. Up the spout, and it's always my fault. Agatha squeezes in next to the workman at the bar, kind of setting him off his equilibrium, so he stumbles and the beers slop over and people are complaining. Agatha takes one of the beers from him. That's no pint, is it? She complains because it's slopped over. The workman bends in and kisses her. She's giggling and telling him to stop, but she's caught sight of Holmes and she likes him.
God knows why. He does not look attractive.
Yeah.
He's also clearly much older than she is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think she's
like, wow, you remind me of this actor, Jeremy Brett.
So the next day, Holmes shows up at Appledore at the servants' entrance with plumbing tools. Agatha opens the door. We never sent for no plumber, she says, and Holmes, turns around. Oh, that's what Agatha says. And he moves in close to her, well within kissing distance. It was Stokes, he says, presumably the workman who was kissing Agatha the night before. Oh, was it? She asks, and she shows Holmes in. As she does, Stokes comes in with a silver tray. He's not a workman, but a footman. But he's dressed very sloppily.
Yeah.
Agatha starts to introduce them. What's your name? She asks Holmes. Escott, Holmes says, looking around the room. We plumb the depths. It's my firm's motto. And the two of them laugh. He says you sent for him, Agatha says to Stokes, who uncorks the bottle of wine on the silver tray and glugs down the rest of it. So, okay, we know he's an alcoholic.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the trouble? Holmes says before Stokes could answer. He goes over to the sink and gets on his back underneath it. What's going on here? A butler with a stern voice and a big scar on his face comes in. Agatha perches on the kitchen table, happily watching Holmes at work under the sink. I just love her in this scene. I asked you what's going on here, the butler says to Stokes. He's come about the plumbing, Mr. Hebworth, Stokes says. I took the liberty of asking him to come and look into it. He shoots a look over at Agatha. Didn't I, Aggie? You have no right to take liberties, Hebworth says. I'm in charge here. But we do need it done, Mr. Hebworth. I mean, Mr. Milverton was only saying yesterday that there was a very ugly smell coming from the piping, Agatha says. And she's just like, her feet are turned up as she's sitting at the table. She's just like in like hog heaven watching Holmes do his thing.
Yeah, again, the way he looks, I don't get it.
Very well. Carry on then. Hebworth leaves the kitchen just as Holmes turns the wrong valve and drenches himself because he's not a plumber. And Agatha just giggles in delight. At 221B, Mrs. Hudson is clearing away the breakfast things. He came in late and went out early, she tells Watson. She hands him the paper. Headlined, Lord Swinstead dies. He was a fine statesman, Watson, Holmes says in a voiceover as Lady Diana stares up at a huge painting of what looks like a medieval court scene. She's weeping. There's two people with crowns. It was his diplomacy, I'm told, which eased Anglo-French relationships at a most delicate time some years back. And I did not look that up.
Yeah, I didn't either. It was...
It could have been anything.
Yeah, Google is so bad at this point that it was possible to figure out what they were talking about.
Also, when have Anglo-French relationships not been fraught?
Exactly. There's
So, to think that I was there, Watson marvels, with his widow when the news was broken to her. And Holmes lowers himself into the bathtub, washing off the dreck that had flooded out of the sink earlier. He's got a huge black stain on his cheek. Milverton, he growls.
Now it's personal.
Right. He made me filthy. I'd exchanged a word with him, Watson says, a more calculating, insincere smile I never hoped to see. Watson comes into the bathroom putting on a tie. The bathtub, I thought the bathtub was very strange. There's a part that looks like a shower, but it has no faucet. It's just these 4 vertical bronze bars, which purpose is not clear to me. I mean, maybe to grab as you're lowering yourself into the tub, but it just seemed weird.
Maybe. I didn't see the top.
Oh, maybe it is the shower.
Well, I don't know that they would have had showers, but if they were all connected at the top, it would be to hang a curtain around.
Oh, maybe. Yeah. And there's also a huge loofah that looks extremely modern. Charles Augustus, Holmes mutters, soaping himself. He's really pissed off. And described to me as a connoisseur in art matters, Watson continues, a businessman who can make or raise fortunes of any artist to whom he devotes himself. Stench of hell! Holmes screams, dousing himself with more hot water. He's a member of a number of London clubs, Watson continues, and he's pouring hot water from an urn into 2 glasses with metal holders. He's making hot toddies, I figured out.
Oh, okay.
Not the Diogenes, Holmes says, coming out wrapped in a large kind of like sheet towel thing.
Yeah.
I heard from my
work in the spa in that
yes, exactly.
episode, whose name I can't remember.
And also, Holmes really loves swathing himself.
He does.
Or if he was swaddled a lot as a child. I heard from my brother Mycroft that he presented himself and was turned away with a flea in his ear. Watson puts lemon slices in the cups as Holmes sits down. Watson hands him a glass. Your gentleman Blackmailer was born in Balham. And Holmes giggles at this, from which I'm assuming means that Balham is not exactly a grand place within the boroughs of London.
Mm-hmm.
The only son of a glazier and his wife, Watson says. Your source of information? Oh, a variety of sources. I've applied your methods. How have you fared? I've entered the fortress. I'm a plumber with a rising business, Escott's by name. The butler, who goes by the name of Hebworth, is none other than Vike, the footman who was shot in the face. I'm sure of it. Perhaps he was employed by Milverton as a reward for keeping his silence during the Croft scandal. I wonder. At Appledore the next day, Holmes is down in the basement by the furnace, bleeding it. You've got an air compression in your cell pipes, Mr. Hebworth, he says, smoking a little clay pipe. He's speaking in some kind of British accent that I can't place. It's not Yorkshire. Maybe Geordie? I don't know. Probably. The reason I can't place it is because Brett's diction comes through anyway.
Oh, yeah. Probably.
That's the cause of the evil smell in this house, he goes on. And he pronounces house Hayes, which is how upper class people in Britain pronounce house. King Charles pronounces it that way. It sounds like mice. Hayes.
Okay, that's bizarre.
Yeah, it's a thing. What this wants is a save-all below it so the dirty water don't get clogged up. After Hebworth leaves, Holmes comes around to the front of the house. Milverton is watching him from an upstairs window as Holmes enters. And then Milverton goes to the railing of the staircase on the second floor and calls down, "What the devil are you doing here?" Agatha rushes in. "It's the plumber, sir," she says. Holmes is looking up the stairs at Milverton, who's wearing a red silk and velvet dressing gown that is gorgeous. The wainscoting in this house is incredible. It's ornately carved, perfectly polished. I've never seen woodwork like this, ever. There's no need of a plumber in this room, Milverton says. Get out. Holmes tips his cap and walks out with Agatha following him. She's hitting him with a dish towel. This is Master's special room, she says. And she continues scolding him as they open a secret door behind a bookcase and leave.
It's Sophie Thompson is clearly having a blast with this role.
Yes. Yes, I love her in this.
Yeah.
Outside, Agatha is tending to the mastiff, whose name is Missy. Holmes is peering around from the other side of a carriage parked in the yard, watching her. He calls to her, "Aggie!" They walk along the stone masonry outside the house, just as Stokes comes running out. "I don't care if I do make him jealous, the lump," Agatha says. "Might buck his ideas up." "I don't like your master, Aggie. I think he's a shady character," Holmes says. "You're right, he is," Agatha says. So it's clear that maybe she's not attracted to Holmes. Maybe she's just playing him off of Stokes in the hopes of...
Yeah, I would hope so, because I don't believe this romance at all.
She wants Stokes to up his game.
Yeah.
The next scene shows Lady Eva receiving a letter and Milverton's carriage driving away as she watches, devastated, from the window. "Oh, God," she says, hyperventilating. Then she's up in an attic, pawing through boxes, coming up empty-handed, and she simply says, "Lily," before sobbing. Back at Appledore, Agatha is talking about Lily. "What does she want to work here for?" she's asking Holmes. "She was a real lady's maid. You could tell by her clothes." "What was she after then?" Holmes asks. And Agatha reaches out and takes his hand, smiling flirtatiously. "I think you're getting a bit too curious," she says, and they giggle. "And I'm getting cold." She puts her arms around him. "Snuggling's good." Holmes looks a little perplexed. I doubt he's ever had a hug in his life. He awkwardly hugs her back, and she looks up at him and says, "Just a kiss?" Holmes slowly removes his hat, and I thought he was going to move in, but he says very truthfully, "I don't know how."
I've never actually wanted to do this. Please go away.
Poor boy, I get this sense. So she's now on a mission to teach him how. At 221B, Watson is telling Holmes, I've had an idea, a way in which we can bring Milverton within the grasp of the law. Holmes is smoking his long-stemmed pipe, again in near darkness, wearing the mouse-colored dressing gown.
Well, he can't afford that much electricity because of the increase in the rent.
I love it. If we could tempt him to blackmail an innocent person, we should have him, Watson continues. Suppose I was to be the recipient of some indiscreet letters. You, Watson, who would, pray, write these letters? Someone of our acquaintance, Watson says, and you, in your plumbing persona, could offer them for sale. And at the moment of transaction, Lestrade would be on hand to arrest him. But legally, we cannot move until some victim is prepared to sacrifice their reputation by going to the police, Holmes says.
Mm-hmm.
There must be some way we can fight this devil, Watson says. There is, Holmes says, getting up and going into his room. There is. In the countryside, Eva and Harry are being driven in a fine carriage with a coachman in amazing livery and a cape, horses with red plumes on their heads. In a mere 3 weeks, all this will be yours, Harry is saying, and as they drive around by an amazing manor house. It is, in fact, Chatsworth House, which is the seat of the Dukes of Devonshire.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a real thing. And it's nearby.
Wow.
It's near Sheffield and Manchester. So we're meant to understand that Harry is from extremely high nobility.
Mm-hmm.
I feel unworthy of it, Eva says. Yeah, no shit. Nonsense. There's no woman on earth more worthy, Harry says. I feel unwell, Eva says. I know what it is you're feeling, Harry says authoritatively. It's your Uncle Charles. I do understand, but we have our future ahead of us, and we have each other for the rest of our lives. And the carriage pulls up in the front courtyard of the manor where the servants are lined up to greet them. And we pull back and see this incredibly manicured front lawn with a small man-made lake that has a little fountain in it. So this is all real, and it's not, staged or anything. It's the work of yet another one of the Mitford sisters.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Deborah, who married Andrew Cavendish, the younger son of the 10th Duke of Devonshire. But his older brother was killed in the war. So Andrew became the 11th Duke. And Deborah set about restoring Chatsworth, which had become run down, and she turned it into a huge business.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. There's a farmer's market, a line of luxury packaged foods, and of course the place is a venue for hire. She also oversaw the development. Yeah, oh, she did a lot of work. She also oversaw the development of 2 nearby hotels so that people could use the venue.
Yeah.
Loads of weddings and whatnot. And she was passionately devoted to her chickens.
Aw.
She would feed them still dressed in her evening gown, but with Wellingtons on. At the end of her fancy dinners. Yeah. I really like her. She was called Debo by her sisters, and I love her.
Aww.
She was the youngest one. So then we're at a cabaret called Bertrand's. There's a lively, young, red-haired woman dancing the can-can, looking like...
And yipping.
Yipping!
Like, for real, I thought that was a small dog barking.
And she looks just like a Toulouse-Lautrec painting. She's got the red tights and everything.
Yeah.
Holmes and Watson come in. Holmes asks a waiter where they can find Bertrand, the proprietor. As the dancer flings up her skirts and wiggles her knickers, she bends over, she's shaking her butt. Holmes approaches Bertrand's table, and we see that Bertrand is the messenger from the opening scene. Good evening, Bertrand says. You see, I try to bring a little bit of Paris to London. Holmes hands him a slip of paper. Camille's method is simple. And Bertrand stows the paper in his jacket pocket. Camille, Holmes says. C-A-M, Cam, Watson says. Watson, sometimes you absolutely amaze me. He allows it to be known that he is prepared to pay sums for letters which compromise people of wealth and position, Bertrand says. Does he receive these letters from valets and maids? Holmes asks. Not only them, sometimes, how do you say, genteel ruffians who have the confidence of certain women. No one knows where Camille's grip may fall. You are his agent, his conductor? Watson asks. Me? No. We go back a number of years. Rarely are people stupid enough to trust their servants. Bertrand gets up, but Holmes grabs him tightly. Have you conducted a housemaid to him recently? He asks. And what is your interest, monsieur? I have a friend who may have something to sell. Oh, yes? Well, come this way, Bertrand says, and Holmes follows him to a corner table in a quieter part of the club where
And by follows him to a table in a quieter part of the club, we mean a table that was like 2 feet away.
Yes. You can still hear the yipping.
Yes.
Tell me about him, Bertrand says. Well, he needs to know the procedure. The matter is delicate, Holmes says. Of course, it always is. He's the personal physician of the Duke and Duchess of Landish, Holmes says. Watson, across the room by the bar, is watching a young woman put something down the front of her dress or take something out of the front of her dress. I looked like an ivory Coke spoon to me, but what do I know? He's standing beneath this large painting of Rubenesque women frolicking naked in the sea. Now, this housemaid who came by recently, Holmes says. She's here tonight, celebrating her birthday, Bertrand tells him. And we see Lily, all dressed up and dancing the can-can on a table, also yipping her mind out. She will soon be on the streets. At whose expense? Bertrand says nothing, just shoots Holmes a look. Holmes hands him a banknote with the name Blackwell on it. Bertrand burns the note with the candle on the table. Lady Eva Blackwell, Holmes tells Watson as they take a carriage back home. Engaged to the Earl of Dovercourt. They're to be married within weeks, Watson says. She must submit herself to our care, Holmes says, somehow, without delay. And then we see Milverton's face, again with the close-ups.
Mm-hmm.
And then Eva pops up, equally close up, yelling, how dare you come into this house? How dare you? My dear young lady, a show of temper will avail you nothing. Eva sits back down. She's in front of a large mirror, and we see from the reflection she's sitting at a piano. I can't pay you, she says, shaking her head. I haven't the money to pay you. Give me back my letters. Please, leave me alone. She's got, like, prayer hands. You must be resourceful in finding the money. You have influential friends. Surely they'll come to your aid. No, they won't, Eva says. Who can I tell? That's not my concern, Milverton says. And there's a bit of a bustle outside the room, and Harry comes in. As the camera pans back, we see that it's a whole music room with a harp in one corner and wooden music stands. It's really an exquisite music room. And Harry leans on the harp. This is Mr. Milverton, Eva says to him. I'm honored to meet you, my lord, Milverton says with a very slimy smile. And I just noticed he's wearing gray spats.
Yeah.
And what is your business here? Business? Milverton turns to Eva. Shall we share with his lordship our little business, Lady Eva? No, she says quickly.
Well, that won't set off any alarms.
None whatsoever. As you wish, Milverton says. He turns back to Harry. My card, sir. He goes to
Charles Augustus Milverton, Master Blackmailer.
Right. He goes to the door. Good day to you both. Back at Appledore, Holmes is working while Stokes is giving him the stink eye about Agatha. The butler materializes behind a large bush.
Yeah, they're in the courtyard.
Yeah, and there's a lot of like sudden, like the reverse of the Homer Simpson meme.
Yeah.
They're materializing out of the hedges.
Yes.
How much longer, Escott? Well, if you'll forgive me for saying so, Mr. Hebworth, your plumbing's in a shocking state. It's the worst I've ever seen.
Looks almost like a courtyard.
Holmes climbs up a ladder. 2 days more, and then you're out. As Hebworth recedes back into the hedge. Agatha comes, and she shakes Holmes's ladder. Come and see me tonight, she says, laughing. And Holmes joins in as she dislodges him from the ladder. And Stokes looks down on them both angrily. In a park the next day, Holmes and Watson are walking as Holmes is saying, I have it on good authority that she rides this way every day. Would you recognize her? I've seen her likeness in a magazine. If she's with Dovercourt, I might, Watson says. They sit down on a park bench, and yes, there's Lady Eva and Harry prancing towards them.
And she is sitting side saddle.
Yes, she's got a little hat with a veil on. She's wearing a side saddle riding habit.
The dumbest way to ride a horse.
God forbid you open your legs.
Yeah.
Milverton's carriage pulls up alongside them. Seeing him, Eva faints, falling off her horse onto the gravel pathway.
Although if you look at what she does, she doesn't like slide off the horse in a faint. She kind of jumps like, what?
Yes, exactly. And Milverton begins driving past. Watson runs over. I'm a doctor, he says. Her godmother lives just over there, Harry tells him. So that's how we know that Lady Diana is her godmother.
Okay.
We could carry her if it's safe to lift her. Yes, just briefly, Watson says. Holmes is holding one of the horses as Milverton's carriage passes by. Nope, he's holding both of the horses. Actually, according to IMDb, it's a continuity error. So in one scene, he really was holding only one, and in another scene, he's holding Holmes is staring at Milverton as he drives on. At Lady Diana's house, Watson and Harry are looking after Eva, who's apologizing for being so much trouble, as one does when one is a helpless lady.
Yeah.
Harry is soothing her. Lady Diana comes down the stairs, alarmed at what she sees. Lady Swinstead, Holmes says. She turns, looking curiously at him, and I got the sense that she recognized him.
Mm-hmm.
All England shares in your grief, he tells her. My colleague, Dr. Watson, is attending Lady Eva. Poor child is very disturbed by the death of my husband, Lady Diana says. It's nothing serious, Lady Swinstead, but I would advise you to make her rest and get her own doctor to see her. She thanks Watson, and Holmes says, if ever you should need my services, and hands her his card. Holmes and Watson leave as Eva holds out her hands pleadingly to her godmother. And that's where we're going to stop.
Yep.
So I think Robert Hardy is perfect.
Yes.
For this. His Siegfried was always somewhat menacing. He reminded my dad a lot of he reminded my dad of his former boss at the church where Dad ultimately wound up getting expelled from. He had that vague, threatening underpinning. Yeah. I never liked Siegfried's temper.
Yeah. Same.
And I just have to wonder how much of that was Hardy himself. But anyway, yeah, lots of behind the scenes 12 actors in England kind of thing.
Yeah.
Plus the Inspector Morse business.
Which, you know, there are worse shows to emulate.
Yes, of course there are. Of course there are. Yeah, I think that's all that I had until we get to the next half of this.
Yeah, same. But this is really all just set up at this point.
Yes. But in real life, there was what's called an ambivalent character who was a friend of a lot of artists at the time, Ruskin, Whistler, Rossetti. And his name was Charles Augustus Howell.
Oh.
And there were many who believed him to be a blackmailer.
Oh, interesting.
And according to Bending the Willow, it is most probable that Arthur Conan Doyle knew of him, and it is not pressing supposition too far to believe that he based his Charles Augustus on Howell.
Yeah, I would bet on that too.
Which is why the show, set Milverton up to be an art dealer.
Okay.
Because he could move among high society, but also deal with the maids.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, did you have anything that leapt out at you?
Not this week, probably for next week.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah.
Also Bending the Willow, that description of Watson that Watson gives of Milverton's upbringing. And apparently it was meant to also describe Holmes's.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So again, there's this.
How are we supposed to make that connection?
A boy brought up in lonely isolation, starved of parental affection.
Okay.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I think we understand that Holmes was.
Yeah, but probably not to that extent, because Watson was clearly describing a psychopath.
Well, that's the point, right?
Yeah, but Holmes is also clearly not a psychopath.
No, he's not.
He has his issues, but
no, he's not a psychopath. But I mean, this is where the BBC Holmes is a high functioning sociopath. That's what that hinges on.
Yeah, but
I know, it's specious as hell.
it is. It's also those kinds of people are really just acting out a personality disorder, and it's not a terribly interesting personality disorder.
No, it's not. Oh my God. The people who confuse psychopaths for being interesting?
Yeah.
No, they're not. They're really horribly boring.
They're really not.
They're tedious and monotonous.
Yeah.
And one note.
Yep.
And extremely obvious.
Yes.
None of which Holmes is.
Agreed.
Anyway.
That's all from us this week. If you've enjoyed the show and haven't subscribed yet, you can subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. If you want to support us, you can leave a 5-star review on Apple or Spotify or whatever platform you are using. Tell your friends and join us next week when we'll be discussing The Master Blackmailer Part 2.
Part 2. All right, see you then.
Bye.